Spent 2.5 years with them, and I did multiple pre-openings with them in that duration. Then I moved to Hard Rock Hotel. My calling was also as a musician to join this brand. And since then, I have been working with them over 5.5 years now. I started as a duty manager with them, then progressed to assistant front office manager. And now I'm currently handling the front office team, the vibe manager role, as well as the retail manager here. So yeah, it's pretty exciting to work with this brand currently.
Thank you, Upindra. It looks like your mix. You have been able to incorporate your passion along with your work, and I think that's the best thing and the best way to go ahead. So, cheers to you. Next, I
Thank
would
you.
request Johan. Johan, I'm afraid you're on mute.
I'm so sorry. Good evening,
No
everybody.
stress, happens to the best of us.
So I'm Johan Bellamoria. I actually graduated from IHM Aurangabad in the year 2017. Post my graduation, I started off my career with Indian Hotels Company or the Taj Group of Hotels as a management trainee with the Hotelier Development Program. I spent 18 months, doing a lot of cross exposure in various departments. So I moved around right from the business excellence team. Then I moved to Taj Madikeri Resort and Spa, where I worked at front office and food and beverage. Post which I moved to Taj Palace, Delhi for my cross exposure in kitchen and ancillary departments. And finally getting deputed at the iconic Taj Mahal Palace and Tower as a duty manager.
Thank you, Johan. Your journey, boy, you have done a lot, my friend. You have done seriously a lot. And trust me when I say it just kind of, adds to the knowledge and the experience. And I'm hoping to see that over here. Thank you. Our next panelist needs no introduction at IHM Aurangabad. Fresh out of the institute and fresh in our minds. Arzan, let's hear from you.
Namaste, everyone, and good evening. I'm honestly just honored to be here. I'm not even completely graduated from the college, and I finished my internship very recently at Taj Fort Aguada, Goa. And now I am starting my career, like putting my legs in right now in the hospitality industry with Vivanta by Taj, Navi Mumbai, which is a pre-opening property.
Thank you, Arzan. That's good on you getting pre-opening experience. In fact, even Upindra mentioned a couple of pre-opening experiences that adds a lot of value going ahead. And I'm sure he'll second that as well. So, gentlemen,
Definitely.
let's start our engines. It's a pleasure to be sharing stage with you. And, the intention is to get, using your varied and collective experiences, shed light on some hard-hitting questions facing the front office professionals. So let's start off. And the first question that I have is for Chaitanya. The pandemic scenario has accelerated technology adoption in hotels. In fact, it's being looked upon as a savior. Where would you pin the current technology advancements? Truly, would you take it or look at it as a boon or a bane?
Good question, Zaman. Technology is definitely revolutionizing the way we operate or manage our hotel operations. You can say the advancement in technologies or the guest expectations in a post-pandemic world, or as a matter of fact, simple perception of luxury has definitely seen a reduction in transactional interaction. There is more and more emphasis on providing a more integrated, seamless experience that extends far beyond, just online check-ins and check-outs or contactless payments or keyless entries. Guests these days are all like, what they really want is reduction in the friction points, and they want a more connected, a more personalized experience. These days, our modern travelers are more connected in terms of using smartphones, social media, etc. So they want to enjoy all the facilities, all the services, just from the comforts of their home, from the comforts of the hotel rooms while they're out. So it's technology such as texting or reputation management tools such as in-stay surveys, post-stay surveys, checking the pulse of our guests, what is the sentiment going on. That is very important and helps us create a bit more personalized experience for our guests. We can definitely get all the information from all of these tools, but what's more important is what are we doing about this information? Are we using it in a way where we listen to it, we improve, especially during an in-stay survey? Are we seeing what our guests are asking for, are we using traditional methods such as telephones to communicate with other teams, or using like technology such as task management systems integrated with our property management systems to create a unique experience, especially after stay? Are we looking at what happened during the guest experience at the property, at the hotel or the resort? Are we using those tools to train our team members? Are we finding what are the pain points to improve the services? So there are definitely tools that help us do all of these different reputation management softwares, different task management softwares that provide a bit more integrated and holistic experience for our guests.
Thank you, Chaitanya. That I think was a comprehensive uh, answer that I was looking for. Okay, and while we're still on the topic of technology, and you mentioned a few of them, I would actually direct my next question to Johan. Johan, would you share with us what are the other or some new technological implementations at operational level with respect to getting guests back in the hotel?
So yes, actually, in fact, in this pandemic, it's been quite a lot of fast implementation, I would say, in terms of technology, because as we've seen, it's introduced, as my senior Chaitanya rightly mentioned, also that guests are looking for less and less more friction points. So yeah, it's a lot of emphasis given on keyless entries right now. A lot of emphasis given on, especially since our traveler mix has there's a big huge change. We've seen a lot of from moving from business to staycation travelers. So ideally, travelers looking for more of in-room technology, wherein they're able to enjoy entertainment as well as something to do within your property, as such as interactive screens. Let it be smart televisions. Let it be high-speed Wi-Fi. It's actually some of even the most basic of technologies where they're looking at greater expectations of also.
Thank you, Johan. I totally agree. One of the biggest things I felt that has come out of the pandemic, of course, I won't put it in a positive light, but the fact that at least Wi-Fi has kind of increased and has become better across the nation. Pre-COVID, the getting if talking of speeds, 10 Mbps was like you were like king. And in today's date, you're talking of 100, 200, and 300 Mbps, and it's crazy in today's date. So yeah, I totally understand what you're saying.
Correct.
Arzan, my next question is for you. How has all this technology adoption and contactless service impacted the guest experience? Where does building guest relations and the guest personal comfort stand in the current hierarchy of needs? Now, this is specific with regards to, since you were in Goa, and Goa was the destination that everybody was flocking to as soon as there was some kind of opening in the restrictions in India. So, what would you say on this?
So my first answer is that whatever my dear panelist said was completely correct, that technology itself has made a process, at least within the front office, very easy to handle, especially during this entire COVID pandemic. I feel personalization would be the right answer in my regards, because the more digital we went, the more personalized service were offered to most of the guests. In fact, everyone was coming. There was a quick check-in process. I was on an easy checkout process. During the stay, I think working in Goa was kind of an experience by itself. We experienced complete bubble service. There was so many lockdowns, so many issues that the government had put upon to protect us and everyone else during the pandemic. And I think the right answer, I feel, is personalization, that any company was able to offer to the guests at that time was as simple as maybe, giving them a room when the government actually was not allowed to prevent rooms to come out.
Thank you so much, Arzan. That makes perfect sense and kind of hits the nails on the head, I think. Thinking aloud, I can actually sense that technology is looking like the one side of the coin, and it has really been a boon, no doubt. It has bridged the gaps between, I guess, the restrictions or the norms that were laid down versus what was required from the hotel operation side. I definitely also see that there is another side to this coin, and I think that, and I'm sure we'll all agree, that's always all our people. So, Pindra, this brings us to an important question that I have for you. Tell us how the pandemic has impacted front office training. Are there any new age skill sets that appraising professionals need to imbibe?
It's a great question, and it's a great insight that you have thought about it. Definitely, pandemic changed everything for us, starting from our processes and how we handle things at a hotel as well. So coming to the trainings, definitely it's just not anymore talking about check-ins, ADR, revenues, discussing guest issues. That is always the part and parcel. We now expect that of our associates to, handle this by default. But the new things that we have started is COVID norms. Okay, so COVID norms, definitely everyone has been training on COVID norms, but with COVID norms have come in new technologies, handling QR codes, handling links, providing paying links to the guests, how to get everything digitalized, how to get the check-in done smoothly without, as Chaitanya said, the least friction points. Checkouts need to be smooth. So yeah, many things have changed, and the trainings definitely have taken a paradigm shift, and we have to train our staff much into technicalities now, so that the guest does not have to face any of the issues before arrival, during arrival, and post arrival as well. So yeah, we have to take more technical trainings nowadays rather than just the technicalities of front office, I would say.
Thank you, Upinder. I would request all panelists that if you are at any point of time you will feel to add to any question, please feel free. I'm sure it will only enrich the discussion any further.
In fact, I was about to say that, like, just adding on to Upendra's point, basically, really well said. Like, these days, all our team members, all our guest services agents, we don't need to just train them on the technicals. That's, of course, an expectation that they would already know how to do a seamless check-in, how to do a seamless checkout. Especially in the last 18 months of the pandemic, what we have seen with all the social distancing norms, all the decals put on the floors. Of course, when guests are queuing up, like, no one likes to queue up at this point in time, of course. Like,
True.
everyone's like, why are we queuing up? What's happening to the social distancing? Where is the 4 square meter rule? So all of these things keeping in mind, guests are like, all right, now that we exit the pandemic in a post-pandemic world, why are we required to queue now? So the emphasis is more now that we have noticed is more on queue management. For example, during peak check-in time, checkout times, what services we can do, or how can we engage with our guests so that they are not queuing anymore, in keeping the lobby clean, keeping the lobby clear, also following at the same time all our protocols. For example, Accor has something called All Safe, which is our heightened protocols. So making sure that we are adhering to all of those protocols between all guests, sanitizing our desks, sanitizing our workstations. If we can't wash our hands, then making sure that, yes, we are ready. So all of these things still need to be done. So check-in processes, if you talk about the time taken, has, of course, increased a bit.
Definitely agree.
At the same time, making sure that our guests do not feel that, yes, they are spending more time staying there, talking to people, so that all of the things that were traditionally, such as a registration card, pre-authorization, all the things that we enjoy about reception, need to be done prior.
True. And
I think I
with
quite
this,
agree with Chaitanya as well on this. It's
yeah, and another thing that we have actually missed, the important training nowadays, we have our contingency plans. What
Absolutely.
if something goes wrong? What if somebody is found as a COVID positive? What do we do then? Who is responsible then? That has been a very important training that, as Chaitanya said, Accor has a safety program. We follow Safe and Sound as well. So every brand, in a way, has implemented their own standards to make sure the employee safety as well as the guest safety. Coming to the point where Chaitanya said we are losing the essence of reception and the fun bit of it. With that, we also see a very good shift in the term VIP. Contactless check-in, in-room check-in was usually for VIPs. And now that is a basic need that we do for most of our guests, that it is contactless check-in, and you can directly head to the room. So many things have changed, and many things have to be accepted and understood while doing this day-to-day tasks nowadays.
I would just like to add in some points. Being a first-hand witness of various trainings, I would think the first thing that is most important is previously we used to smile through our face. Now we smile through our eyes and we give that kind of warmth through our eyes and our facial experiences. So I think various trainings have got me to this conclusion that you need to take care of all precautions, keep social distancing, keep your 100 mask on, then a face shield, and with gloves and everything. And then you have to still smile in that heat, especially in Goa, which is so humid. I
It
think
is
it is
challenging.
definitely a lot of training that goes on to your mental health and you actually getting used to it.
Yeah, it is challenging.
Johan is
True.
speaking straight from the heart. I can feel that
Absolutely.
right here. You know, Johan, I think you were adding something, but
So Arnold, I was just going to say what Chaitanya actually covered was very, very spot on as well, and as well as Upenda and Arzan. What we've also been practicing at the Taj is basically being your own housekeeper. We've been having standards wherein we don't rely and depend solely on just housekeeping to basically ensure
True.
areas and not just parts of reception are just sanitized. Proactively, associates and managers as well have to ensure every 45-minute desks are sanitized, phones sanitized, ensure pens are restacked after being sanitized. We have drop bowl solutions wherein guests just drop in their keys into a sanitized solution, and later
True.
on after maybe about 30 to 40 minutes we have to again recycle it in sense, pull out the keys, wipe them out completely, ensure they're dry, and then use them for the next arrivals. So it's quite spot on, and this is just something I wanted to add on.
fair enough. Absolutely right. I can relate to all of these, and in fact, all front office professionals who are viewing this will definitely know and understand and relate to what we are speaking. But something that Chaitanya spoke about really kind of hit a nerve. I very well remember, if you had a queue under normal circumstances, it was a bloody pain. And I can only imagine what professionals, front office professionals are handling today when there is a queue in COVID scenario, and especially guests sometimes, I guess, forget, exactly where no matter there are markings on the floor, I'm sure sometimes they forget that there are markings on the floor and there is a distance to be maintained. So that becomes very different and difficult for other people and other guests. So I can only imagine and understand what you are going through. But yeah, that hits a nerve. So thank you, Chaitanya.
Cheers.
Okay. Before we go on, or rather, before we begin with the next round, I would request our audience to post questions in the chat. I would also kind of urge you to add in your email address, because in the event that you are unable to take the question, we shall respond to you, within a day's time over email. So definitely we want to, and we will ensure that we answer all questions. So either on the platform right now or by email, we will definitely do that. Okay, so we move on to our next question. One of the harsh outcomes of the pandemic scenario has been, the business and the economic deficit, not just for organizations but individuals as well, with respect to salary cuts and layoffs. I direct this question to Chaitanya. What has been your observation or learning on how the pandemic has impacted people in the hospitality industry?
Just like all industries, of course, hospitality has been severely impacted. Before, of course, I answered this question, I've got just then I remembered a really interesting incident, basically. So last year when the pandemic had started, I was working for this tropical island resort, as I said at the start. Of course, we had to shut down the entire resort's operation as Queensland went into lockdown. We had about 70 staff members on the island. Few of them had families on the mainland in Cairns City, but overall we had about 50 staff members who remained on the island at that point in time. So the leadership team, all of us, were of course talking to the owners that we were going to close down the entire resort and the island. What's the best step moving forward? And the owners came back to us, as in the leadership team said, they didn't want any staff member to leave the island unless, of course, the staff member wanted themselves. They said, we will keep all staff members on the island in this lockdown. We will make sure that we provide food, we provide shelter. And of course, we looked after all our team members throughout the pandemic. So we were in lockdown for about 2 months at that point in time. And we looked after around 50 staff members of the resort at that point in time. So naturally, when we reopened the resort, we had like of course a skeleton team ready to go, but we also had built loyalty. So what now coming back to your question, what we have seen is like staff members crave safety. So with the snap lockdowns, with uh, changes in demand, changes in supply, we are definitely seeing like reduction in hours. Some of the senior executives, senior leadership teams have taken pay cuts, forced annual leaves, etc. So at this point in time, it is like and I'm sure this has become one of our favorite terms, these unprecedented times or uncertain times. So everyone is just a bit, it's craving safety. So we need to provide the job surety, we need to provide the job safety to our team members, so that they know that yes, they are going to be looked after. There is hope, and there is of course light at the end of the tunnel. So when things bounce back, they are not left scrambling for job opportunities. Now, of course, I can talk about Australian market. Here, we definitely, with international and state border closures, we've definitely seen a reduction in talented workforce or skilled labor force within the region. So the staff members that we already have, we've made sure that we hang on to our current team members. We look after them in a way that, yes, we provide them job security, we provide them future, we provide them all the training necessary. And in case there's a snap lockdown, of course, now all of us have done the drill many times. So if there is a snap lockdown announced, we all use our team members in different areas. So something called multi-hire. So in order to do multi-hire, all our team members are trained in different areas, such as our reception team members are trained in housekeeping, housekeeping team members are trained in food and beverage. So there is like cross-training done throughout the board. So should there be a need, all of us can jump in and support other departments. Should a department go through a staffing crunch, we do have team members ready. And at the end of the day, it is very important to look after the mental health of the team. So, of course, if I've got a team member, first we all try our best to encourage the team members finish in 38 to 40 hours per week, and they do not do more than that. Of course, if they're doing more than that, then we look after them in a way, in extra days in lieu or time off in lieu, annual leaves, etc., just to maintain their mental health and ensure that the team members are not tired and fatigued at the end.
Thank you, Chaitanya. That again, I felt that was a very heartfelt response that you have given, a very touching one. And it comes back. Something that I can always relate to is that as staff working, unless if you create that safe environment for your staff, your guest will only come if your staff is there. So I totally understand and agree with the perspective. And I must say kudos to the management of the resort island that really took that decision to ensure that although during that period they were not earning, but they were still ensuring that they took care of the staff. It really talks a lot about the management and the values and the core values of the company. So
absolutely. Now, I really hats off to the entire owners. They spend nearly $500,000 to keep the operations, as in not the operations, but making sure that all staff members were taken care of, organizing private charters for emergencies if they had to go off island. So because it was an island and the only way on and off was a boat. So we had private charters bringing in supplies and all of those things. So hats off to them, of course. But the essence of the story was definitely the staff members stayed loyal to that particular company. So when, of course, post-pandemic world, when everyone was scrambling for staff members, offering more money than, of course, the industry norm, just to gain, we had a set of loyal team members who stayed with me, with the other departments throughout.
Right, absolutely. In fact, kind of reminds me what has happened across in India as well. Most of forget the rest of the businesses, even hotel companies have gone into overdrive of layovers. It was Taj that was one of the companies that ensured that not one single individual employee was made to walk out of the door, and that kind of loyalty cannot be bought. So I resonate with what you're saying. Yeah.
And we had a similar story at the Hard Rock. We did not lay off any of our team members. Although we were not able to shelter them all in the hotel, most of them went back. Few of them who were here in Goa outstation, they were provided accommodation. They were provided with food. So we did look after the basic needs because the lockdowns here were much harsh. Getting the supplies in was also a task. So yeah, we did the same and we tried our best. Sometimes we gave half salary, sometimes some or other way we have always made it up so that the staff is comfortable. And as Chaitanya said, we had a whole team ready. Once we knew the opening date, it was communicated to them and everybody showed up. So it was just like picking the ball up again and we are just back in the playground and let's do it. Different trainings, different norms. Okay, we'll take it up, bring it on. So yeah, the team was much enthusiastic after the lockdown to work back in and put the foot back into the hotel and welcome the guests. So that enthusiasm and that loyalty definitely can't be bought.
Agreed.
Right.
This brings me to the point that the success of the hotel industry depends on the willingness of people. This includes, of course, our staff and the guests equally. When I say willingness of people, I'm referring to the willingness of the staff. That is, when they have faith in a particular company, they show up to work. That's one of the biggest things that I would say that would have been one of the initial biggest challenges. Also, I'm sure they also felt afraid. Their family members were afraid. And the
True.
second aspect would be the willingness of the guests. Once they have also, again, same trust. Trust is the important word here. So once they have trust in a particular brand and they know they're going to be safe there, guests do come out and indulge, so to say. So Upindra, I put this question to you. Would you share some light on the current client mix seen at hotels and how guest experiences are being curated currently?
So as you said, the acceptance of the changes is very essential. That goes for both staff as well as the guests. So starting with the staff bit, I'll come to the experiences that we curate right now in a bit. But starting with the experiences with the staff, once you have the faith in the brand, it flows down from top to bottom. So it starts with the managers, how they act in such a time and how they handle their teams. And giving my example myself, when we were asked to stay back in the property during lockdown, I was willing to do it. I've done it twice now. Both the lockdowns, I was in the property. I was in touch with all the departments, with the general manager, with the owners, with my own team. We ensure that everything's ready, and once we are ready to open, things are in place. So once that happened, my team had faith in me. They had the faith in the brand. Everyone was back on board. So coming to this, once they're back on board, was when the challenge starts. Acceptance of the new norms with the employees working longer hours in gloves, with the masks. It is a little difficult to make it flow down easy, but they need to understand it that we don't have another option as of now because we are coming through a pandemic which hit globally and it was really bad everywhere. So how you handle the team in such pandemics is really challenging, and it needs to be done with a lot of empathy. You need to understand what they're going through as well because they're taking a salary cut as well. So that is one bit of it, and the second bit is the most challenging one: handling the guests. Once the lockdown gets over, they're frustrated sitting at home. They just want to come out to Goa and let loose. Even though they know that there are set rules, there are restrictions, like Goa is still under curfew, they are not in acceptance of it. They want to be free. If you ask them to wear a mask, sorry, I have paid for. Why should I wear a mask? I'm vaccinated. I don't need to wear a mask. I'm with my family. They don't understand how severe it can be for the hotel, for the employees, or for themselves itself. So curating a guest experience in such a scenario is really difficult. As I said, the term VIP has changed. So what first used to be for VIPs is now being done normally. In-room check-in, contactless check-in, we directly take them to the room. All the formalities are done before. Checkouts are done before directly. The bags come out, sanitized in the bags, in the car, sorry. And yeah, so many things have changed, and curating an experience in such a thing has been challenging. So what we did at Hard Rock, we are known for music. So we have live performances. The number of days reduced, but that can be telecasted directly into the rooms. So you can directly view it from the rooms. We go live. We use live reels to communicate to our guests what we offer at the Hard Rock. We have social distancing everywhere. So if you want to reserve a specific place, we can do that. Then social distancing can be arranged accordingly. So it has been challenging, but yeah, we have put up with different modes and methods to do this now.
Thank you, Upinder. The fact that you all actually telecasted your live music shows to the room is something I think it's a brilliant idea. And one of the strong words that I got off from when you were speaking was a lot of empathy amongst the staff, because they are actually, it's not easy.
It's
Like
not. It's not.
we have already discussed, they are wearing gloves, you're wearing masks, you're wearing a layer of
Mhm.
clothing, you're wearing a layer of PPE kits as well.
And then even working longer hours.
Yeah, and yes, you have salary cuts and you still have longer hours. So, it's kind of a double whammy in a way. But yeah, it's the empathy that we train our people with, and that is something that is, you know, ingrained in a hospitality individual, I would say, that has helped everyone to focus and go ahead. So, thank you so much for the experience. Next, I move on to Johan. So I'm coming to you, and I feel you are the best person to share the challenges posed by guests, actually the new normal guests, if I could call them new normal
Yeah.
guests.
So, as Upinder rightly, sorry, as Upinder also rightly mentioned, we saw a huge mix in terms of of clientele that actually came in during the lockdown of April and May that took place. We saw the hotel scenario completely change. Initially, so to be honest, I was actually not here because I had gone home on leave at the end of March, and then come 23rd of March, it was very unexpected that the Prime Minister announced a nationwide lockdown, which was quite actually indefinite for some time. But what actually our hotel moved to was in the months of April, we were actually not catering to any guests at all. Our main aim was to have the existing guests that we had staying in the hotel, helping them go back to their own countries. In the month of May was when we actually started receiving, some people might know the Vande Bharat flights from Air India, that used to get all the Indians that were stranded abroad. We are essentially helping them get back to the country. They had to go through a mandatory institutional quarantine. So our hotel actually opened up as a quarantine center for passengers arriving from abroad, and in fact, it was preferred by a lot of clientele and guests who were used to the Taj and probably were living in this area of Mumbai. And also, it was we also saw a philanthropic or a social responsibility side towards our guests coming in, because it was that time when Mr. Tata had actually very generously opened up all IHCL hotels within key major Indian cities to as housing, or rather as an accommodation for all doctors and nurses who were leading the medical teams in various hospitals, as they couldn't return home due to various safety reasons, since they were treating in COVID wards. So that for the month of of May, June, and July was when we primarily saw guests who were not very demanding, but it was just basically essentially catering to your doctors and quarantine passengers. 1st of August 2020 was when actually the hotel formally opened up. That was when we saw our first FIT, or free individual traveler guests, coming in. That was when guests were really fed up and wanted to just have a change in terms of atmosphere, in terms of an environment, in terms of just maybe having a restaurant style meal experience, somewhere in a different environment altogether, whether it was being served in the room. We opened up services like a dinette dining experience, where basically, since due to COVID norms, our restaurants weren't still able to operate. We had banquets, cater to restaurant needs. So basically, if a guest was having a group of, let's say, 8 or 10 friends, or family members convening together for a meal, we would convert one of the smaller banquet halls into a restaurant-style experience, where we had a long sit-down table, had set menus, curated menus, and then had a platter-to-plate style service. Post which, in September, so it was actually a bit of a timeline, but yes, post in September and October was when we started getting a majority of staycation guests. So that is when our hotel went ahead and introduced, AP and MAP plans, because that was what we needed to get in a lot of guests who were looking to basically break free by then, a lot of relaxations in terms of norms had happened. People were allowed to move about. People were allowed to step out. Some restaurant, shopping had opened up with a lot of restrictions. Restaurants were allowed to function with with a lot of restrictions too. So it was basically catering to a lot of staycation guests. Yes, the clientele or our client mix had changed. We were from doing revenues or average room rates pre-pandemic, which was about an average in the tower was about 11,000 rupees, and at the palace, an averaging was about 18,000 rupees a night. We have dropped down. We came down to almost 4.5 and 5,000 on average in the tower, and our palace averaging was about 8,000, 7.5 to 8,000 rupees a night on average. So the kind of client mix we were getting in was very different. The kind of expectations that they were having was very new to us. They were coming with certain expectations that, oh, we're coming to 5-star, they had those expectations, how you see in the movies. So, for example, if anyone has seen a movie like, let's say, Home Alone 2, or a movie which is catered to a 5-star scenario, they were coming with this kind of, okay, we'll be getting not just this, but this and this and this and this, and it became very hard for us to understand. Of course, these were people who were being able to achieve the dream of staying at this iconic hotel. A lot of them, when I interacted, were saying that this was actually a dream come true for them, because they were able to finally come and stay for one night with their family or their friends at the Taj. So yes, it was challenging, but we learned to adapt. We definitely learned to adapt. We've learned to customize those experiences also now for guests. We're able to better cater to those guest needs as well. We're better able to understand our guests even more. There were guests, of course, who are coming to mental health. A lot of guests who were going through a lot of mental health issues, who had basically come out of their houses and looking for a change in a scenario. Catering to them, basically empathizing with them. It was hard for us to not know what exactly was going on, but as long as we were able to do something small so that they were able to smile a bit, made us happy in the back of our heads, saying that at least we've had a job well done.
Thank you, Johan. It actually kind of reminds me of those middle class people dreams. That's how I have grown up as well. Even for my family, when we went across, when I was a kid, if we were on the road and we went across a 5-star hotel, we would look and say, "Oh, we can only wonder what's going on." So I understand, and I'm sure many of your viewers may be even able to relate to it. In fact, on similar lines, I did hear Upinder also talk about guests. Chaitanya, may I ask you, how has the scenario been, specifically keeping in mind that you're in a different geography, you have a different culture? Was it something similar? Was it different? How was it about for you?
Well, if you talk about the guests' experience, one thing that has come out of pandemic or in a post-pandemic world is the expectation. So the expectations of our guests has changed entirely. Now, let's say after a snap lockdown, once the lockdown is lifted, the guests are traveling again to the resorts, be it our resorts or any other resort in the region. They are, of course, receiving the guests in large numbers. Now, we definitely have seen it shift in international numbers, of course, because the international borders are closed and we are not receiving any international guests. The domestic borders are closed. So, of course, at this point in time, the state of Western Australia is only open to 3 states, which is Northern Territory, South Australia, and Tasmania. All the other states on the East Coast are locked out effectively. You cannot travel to Western Australia. So, of course, a lot of our tourists are just locals because it's so much uncertain whether if you go out, you may not be able to come back, sort of situation. So the expectations of people who are traveling to us, they are already paying high rates. So of course comes the principle of revenue management, and then the rates are really high. The expectations naturally is high. So there is a shift in the customer as well. So we are getting all our high rollers who are paying let's say $750 per night and above to come and stay with us at the resort. So naturally that brings in a lot more expectations in terms of accessibility, in terms of services being offered, in terms of different packages that we have in terms of the region. So not just the resort, but because we are a wine region, so is everything available for them to enjoy in the region. Now, of course, they also expect the weather to be nice and sunny. We are just moving into spring now. Actually, it's spring now, and we are moving into summer soon. Of course, as we approach summer, the rates go up. We are forecasting occupancies of 85%, 90%, 100% on certain dates as well. So definitely, we have seen an increase in MICE. A lot more a lot more companies are bringing the executives here. And if one interesting observation earlier, MICE was about the hotel conference on like residential conferences. Now it's all about the region. So when they're coming in, they want to stay at the hotel. They want to have a few meals at the hotel, but then they want to go and explore the region. There are so many wineries, so many different experiences: horse riding, dirt road biking, ATV, hiking, etc. So it's all about a holistic experience. Now, if we talk about just the hotel itself, then of course, when the guests walk in, they observe and notice every single thing now, because there is so much hype around different protocols. So of course, they expect high standards of cleaning. They expect high level of service. They expect to be, if they call, they want an answer within the first 3 rings, as our standard is the same. If they've asked for something, they expect something to be delivered to their villas within 10 minutes. So, of course, the expectations are just increasing and increasing, which is fair considering the rates as well. But definitely, we do need to look after our guests, because at the end of the day, there are also people who've come out of a lockdown, who've saved so much over the years and who've gone through so much. So we also need to be mindful of their expectations and then cater their experience to provide the best service.
I guess the guests are also kind of rewarding themselves for being under certain restrictions for so long. And as you correctly said, that some people would have saved up some money as well, because the expenses may have gone down possibly, and they're kind of rewarding themselves. So yeah, with as you correctly said, as the prices raise, the expectations do too. So yes.
But Zamanji, I'd like to add on that it's very
Yes,
strange
please.
how geography changes everything in hospitality. As we see in India, the work from home culture has come up so hyped out, and most of the MNCs taking that up. We have seen a considerable reduction in the movement of mice. So we are not anymore seeing much movement around mice. In fact, some of the business hotels in cities are still struggling. We being in Goa, being a destination which is looked after by many Indians, have come out of the pandemic much faster than other cities have, because people are traveling here for leisure, not for mice movements again. And we firstly used to rely on charters. That was international tourists. And now we don't have the permission for charters yet. And still our occupancies are above 85% on an average day, because most of the people coming out of pandemic want to break free, and they're coming down, and the occupancies have boomed up. We don't see the same trend with the business hotels yet.
Now, just to add to
Absolutely,
that,
sorry,
Sorry.
absolutely open that there's been a total shift in how India is working. Domestic tourism has skyrocketed, and international tourism, of course, because borders are not yet entirely open, is totally affected. I'm sorry to have cut you off, Chaitanya. You were saying?
No, I was agreeing with Upender, because it's not just in India. Us being a destination itself, every time there's a lockdown or the lockdown's lifted, we come out of the lockdown a lot quicker. We see a lot more movement happening in the region than, of course, some of the cities. So some of the city hotels are still operating on minimum occupancies in our region. Of course, I'm not even going to touch base about the East Coast, with like 2 of the main states in lockdown. Definitely, destinations come out of the entire pandemic a lot faster as people rush to go and experience that.
Arzan, I felt you wanted to add something. Bubbling
Yes,
inside to say
I
something.
think I would. Rightly, as what Upender sir said, working in Goa is definitely an experience by itself. I remember when all the other states were completely shut, we still were running at 100% occupancy and wondering from where are the guests coming and how are you all coming? The state is under lockdown. And
And the funny
I
bit
think
is the expectations.
absolutely. And the expectations were very much high, even though, I mean, the government had said that no swimming pools to be open, the casinos to be shut.
Right.
People were still ready to come. And honestly, Goa is a heart for casinos, for clubs, and, the sea and the beaches. But if everything is shut and the guests really had still expectations, within that 1 hour, I'm ready to wake up at 6 a.m. just to go to the beach, enjoy the beach, and then come back and stay in the hotel completely. I think people, if they're ready to pay for such a short time and come and enjoy the experience, they had that kind of expectations with them that I do not care about the amount I'm spending. It's about the break I need. So I think what everyone rightly said is that I think working in this pandemic itself is an experience, whether being working or just coming as a guest. It's definitely an experience by itself.
I can understand. It's all about letting go at some point of time.
Zamanjit, if I may also just add, I mean, since we are talking, another kind of clientele mix that we've also noticed, I don't know, maybe Upinder and Arzan and maybe Chaitanya to an extent also might have seen, there's a new trend of work from home travelers. So basically, we see travelers who actually taking the opportunity that their major corporates or corporations that they're working in are offering to just sit and work from home. They take that opportunity, travel, let's say for a week, 2 weeks to either Goa, to the Himalayas. They'll travel to South India, or they might even just check into a city hotel, like a hotel like ours. Rent in a suite for probably a week's time, and they'd like to just sit and work out of there.
Yeah, I'm aware of this because quite a few of my friends have done this. So yes, I do know. My better half is in the IT department and works in the IT field, and many of her colleagues have actually done this. So because even IT was work from home, all of them booked. Whoever had vehicles traveled immediately close by. That's why Goa was the major hotspot. And
Correct.
whether it was small hill stations around in Maharashtra itself, many people landed up there, locked themselves in the room. They were working there; they're not at home. But
Yes,
full fighter of work from home, as they'd say. Yeah.
correct.
So yeah, it makes
Yeah, the
sense.
term
Why
staycation
not?
has come into a lot of hype because of
Yes,
that.
yes. Staycation. In fact, all city hotels are talking about staycations and promoting staycations across because of this very fact. But yeah,
Every
it's new.
hotel has taken up some or other way of getting the clientele
Yeah,
back. But one common
it's
thing that everybody has adopted is staycation. Every hotel has a
vacations.
staycation
True.
package.
And Upenda, yeah, I mean, in resorts, I mean, of course, there is a one element, but city hotels, I don't know how, but I'm finding that, they're striving to, attract staycation guests. I think, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe resorts is a little easier.
It is, and plus being in a destination like Goa, it's much more easier. It does half of the work
Exactly.
for us. Once we say
You know,
staycation, it basically means stay on a vacation and you work as
exactly.
well. So doing that in the city does not make sense to the people who are already in the city. So they
True.
will
And
definitely
also, I
move out
think
of the
it's
city
just
and
that
come to a
city hotels
destination
don't have
first.
that much more offerings, in terms of,
Right.
giving guests that leisure
And
time after work.
even the infrastructure helps. Once you are a city hotel, it's most likely to be a building. You don't have much open areas, you don't have much places to access to, and
Correct.
vent out a little. Whereas once you're in Goa, you are in a resort. Even during the curfew off times, you can just go out to the beach, have a walk, and come back. It helps you
Correct.
vent out.
Correct.
I think we can keep going on with regards to client mix and how things are evolving. But I'll have to cut everyone off here. We have Arzan who's waiting for a question, right? And I would like to say that I've saved the 100-mark question for Arzan. So are you ready? Okay.
Yes,
You
sir.
have just graduated and entered the industry post your 11-month internship, as we shared a little while ago. How did you prepare for your interviews, and what was your focus to secure a job during these difficult times? You know, uh, is there a module handbook one must follow?
Of course, there is no handbook for sure, sir. It is, I think, patience, luck, and most importantly, your experience that makes a difference.
Hello.
His pause game is good.
Oh, okay. That was my network. Sorry.
I'm not sure if I'm lost or you guys are lost.
No, I think we just lost Arzan for a while, I think.
Done. Yes.
Arzan, are you there?
I'm
We have you back?
sorry. Yes, sir. So
Okay,
as I was
Then
I
you
saying
think
that I think
might have to repeat what you just said.
Yeah,
so as I
I
was
think we lost
saying
him
that
again.
I think the most important fact is that when I was sitting for any interview, I was just looking that okay, will I get a job? And I was not looking for a company or a particular position. I was just looking that will I get a job at this particular opportunity? And when I was even sitting for my interviews, I am sure most of us as Indians ask that, oh, what does your family do? After COVID, what did you all do? Abhi kya khaya? Kya piyega? Safely जाएगा travel कैसे करेगा and for me that did not make a difference. It's like how steady am I, is the company ready to provide and take care of me like a family? And I think working at Taj itself, it was like a family for me. I mean, I have my work experience by itself in an internship, I've seen a lot of chaos when I did not know the difference between right and wrong, still learning the entire process. I think any company that is ready to treat you as a family is a company that you must work for.
very well said. Something that we
Very
touched
well.
upon a little earlier about loyalty and trust. So yeah, I second. I absolutely second. I'm sure everyone here will. But for those who don't know, I'd just like to share that Arzan actually has two jobs, and I won't get into the details of them. But he's one of the privileged ones who has to choose which company he joins. So as he correctly
Well,
said,
thanks to
is the
IHMA,
company keeping me
we all
safe?
that
Yeah.
have. Thanks to IHMA, we all
Yes,
did get
thanks to
that opportunity, I would say.
IHMA.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. The foundation stone was set for
Yeah.
us by IHMA as well. Like, just back in undergrad days, talking to a lot of my friends back then, or when I started my career with the Leelas, all of them said that like they had no opportunity for a campus placement or different things, whereas we were one of the few fortunate students that time who got the opportunity via campus placements. We had so many companies visit. And Upender would agree with me. He and I, of course, sat down for interviews together back in
Yeah.
2013.
True.
So all the different
But
companies that
yeah,
came. Just
even Chaitanya would agree to that. That there's no interview module handbook that can help you crack an interview. Given COVID times or given pre-COVID times, there's no interview module handbook that can help you. Currently, I would just suggest anyone who is looking out for jobs. Firstly, follow your passion, be it front office, be it F&B. Please select what you feel like doing firstly. And secondly, have faith in yourself that you have the skills and you want to learn, have the acceptance to want to learn. Because we face many trainees who come in and they have just taken up the training, but they still don't know what they're going to do. So that's basically lost in a hotel. So definitely have faith in yourself in what you are signing up for. And yes, today's requirement is multitasking. So once you're in the
absolutely.
hotel, please don't limit yourself saying that, I'm a front office professional, I'll just stick to it. When we used to start working, we had seen a front office manager come in the daytime and leave by the evening. So during the day, we never saw him. Today, me being here, okay, time is not a frame limit or any mode of seeing how well you progress in life, but it is required today. You need to be on the floor, you need to be hands full with your team, you need to take up any job opportunity, that means any opportunity in the hotel to help your team or any other department. So if your team is well equipped, like if my team is handling the lobby, if housekeeping needs help, I cannot say that I'm a FOM and I won't go and make rooms with them. No. Today's approach is much more wider and open. You have to go and look after their operations. You need to be well capable and knowledgeable enough to handle operations on a basic level, I would say.
No,
Absolutely, Upendra.
absolutely.
Thank you. We have, it's been quite an engaging and insightful discussion and bringing us to the end of the segment. The floor is now open for some questions that we have in the chat. We just popped something up. I have an interesting question here. How has your hotel, or rather, what steps has your hotel taken to transform digitally? I'll leave the floor open to any of you all who would like to take this up.
I'll give you an example just recently. at our hotel, we had a wedding where, of course, now, as we all know, there are restrictions around number of people that can come in and attend the wedding. So we had a wedding. We had about, I'd say, 20 people along with the celebrant, the bride, and the groom. There were around 40 guests who were seeing the live feed in UK and US. So one of the things that has definitely come out, or hotels are definitely doing to improve their digital infrastructure, is just use these tools so that they can broadcast these events. So just people still know that yes, they can include their family members when they cannot be present physically, so they can be present digitally. So they can all. So one of the main things is like using a projector or a camera screen. These are of course the basics, and then you can build on top of your basic audiovisual infrastructure. So that is one of the things as well. And then making sure that our messaging is sent out clearly. So every day, or people are very active on social media. So our messaging, our campaigns, our advertisements, our protocols, everything that we want to communicate, that should be very clear and concise, passed on to our guests, our staff members, so that they all know what is happening digitally or in person.
Okay, I'd like to add on. Firstly, thank you, Anita,
Yes.
ma'am. It's a nice question. And yes, we all are eager, as even tourists are eager, to know that how things have changed. Like, okay, we are going to a hotel. What change do we expect? So, specifically for the Indian clientele in the Indian subcontinent, starting from the reception, there was a very common habit of us to use cash as a mode of transaction. So that is the major friction point that was highlighted during COVID spread era as well. So transforming that cash transactions into making a habit of people going into tap to pay, how to use QRs. Not only that transformation was difficult for the guests to accept, but training the staff equally well for to handle such transactions or any errors in such transaction was a challenge as well. So that transformation happened at the front desk as an example. And if you go down to the F&B department, your menus are no longer physical. They are just placed with the QR code on the table itself. You scan the QR code. You have apps built by many of the brands where you can directly order the dishes on the app itself. You have your table number assigned to you. You put your table number, your room number, and the food is directly delivered to your table. So there have been these basic transactions which really help us a lot in reducing the friction points, as Chaitanya had mentioned in the start. And it equally helps the guests to feel secure and the employees to feel safe while serving the guests as well.
I would like to add in and says that I think when you say that you're digitally there and you're handling stuff, I think I was completely given a knowledge that theoretically, okay, you have to do this. This is your check-in process, and X, Y, Z are your steps. Now, when you're digital and when there is the least contact that is physically present, the training that goes on for me to learn is much more superior. So I think I would definitely like to add in is that there is a lot of learnings and there's a lot of processes that both the guest as well as an associate or trainer or staff needs to understand and take forward. So there are a lot of applications that have come in, and I'm sure Zamanjit sir being in having so much contacts in the IT would know that now we have various kind of apps for payments or for processes to be digitally be done. And I think every company here today is looking for that kind of application, which is not just easy to access, but safe. So any application that is of this sort is being used in the hotel and it's been used tremendously. So
That's right. I mean, if I could just, I mean, not the last point. Yes, I mean, what everyone said was actually true. Adapting to a digital transformation in hotels where we're used to, doing a lot of paperwork, transforming digitally, emailing registration cards prior to arrival to the guests, or sending them a registration card link, be it from the health declaration forms that we've had to collect from guests, either by emailing the link as well. So we had to create, with our reservations team, create an email format where we could send the link of the registration card, as well as a health declaration link, so that guests could fill it up. So that at arrival, asking for IDs prior to arrival also is something that we transformed into, wherein guests had to just click a photograph of their ID and attach it to the registration card link, and that is something that was emailed across. So basically, also ensuring that the guest had a minimum contact or minimum time spent at the reception was something that we at the front office were also striving for. Digital payments was, yes, transforming all our. We do also, at the moment we did have a cash, but then in India, as you know, a lot of people love paying by cash. So
True.
even having to adapt to that, we had to move into sanitization of notes.
True.
That is
Yeah.
something, yeah, that is something we have to move into. In fact, for some of our hotels even have these UV sanitization boxes. So as soon as they accept the cashier would count it immediately, and
We
then
did that
drop
too.
in that UV box. You know, so these were kind of new methods that we had to try and adapt. Keyless entries was another thing we've had to also implement. So we've been trying and testing that technology, and so far for one part of the hotel, so we've introduced it into the Taj Mahal Palace, and it's been going successfully.
Okay, fair enough. It just reinforces what we started our conversation or discussion with, was that technology, it really seems like it's been the bone only, and has helped out bridge the gap, whether it's digitally or in the various processes, and that are utilized in the hotel. We have a good question from Karan. I'd like to take that up. In a post-pandemic world, to what extent will the reservation, cancellation, early check-in, and checkouts evolve? And how do you perceive the impact on the overall revenue pie? Who would like to shoot this?
All right, I'll answer this question. So, of course, with all the penalties for cancellations for sudden changes in the plan, I've been fortunate enough to work for a company that allows us to be flexible, as long as, of course, the guests are impacted by, let's say, COVID restrictions, COVID lockdown. We have the option to offer our guests the opportunity to reschedule the booking, offer them a credit, which is, of course, valid for 18 months to 3 years' time, depending on, of course, case-to-case basis. Or in the last option, of course, we do offer our guests as refunds as well. So in a situation where guests have been severely impacted or are stuck in another country, or of course in another state on the East Coast, we do allow refunds as well. So yes, we are completely flexible. On a daily basis, we do track the cancellation that happens every day. So we, of course, have configured different cancellation codes in Opera, which is our property management system. So at the end of the day, we generate a report. So we have configured certain simple reports that pick up your total revenue based on your rate codes, based on your number of nights, and then tell us, based on each cancellation reason, what is the impact of each reason. So we could have, let's say, on a certain day, let's say today, and this is just a random figure, we could see cancellation due to COVID restriction, let's say worth $20,000 or $30,000, and then we also have another cancellation category for medical reasons, where someone is severely affected due to compassionate reasons, medical reasons, etc. So all of these things we do keep a track as well. But having said that, we also are strict with our no-show and cancellation policies, where the external factors do not apply. So of course, no one can just simply use the reason that we are cancelling due to COVID or we are cancelling due to medical we, of course, treat our guests the way we would want to be treated ourselves if we were stuck in their situation. So that is one of the things as well. And early check-ins and check-outs, basically, yes, there is an opportunity for our guests to check out a little later or check in early. It's strictly subject to availability. So if the availability or rooms inventory allow us to extend a later checkout time, absolutely, we are all artists, and we allow that opportunity to our guests to check out a little later or check in as early as possible, provided the room's ready to go.
Yeah, something that you said really kind of made a lot of sense. Treat our guests the way we would like to be treated. I think it should be a mantra for all businesses, especially hospitality.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that is a good thing. We are actually a little over time, but I'll take one last question. We have a question from Sanat, and this is a question for Arzan. How did you deal with the internship, both physically and mentally, as it was challenging for all of us? To share that, Sanat is actually a batchmate, and would have been also on internship during the same COVID period. So, how about it?
I think the right answer is that it's an experience that I would actually Um, of course, affected us mentally and physically, yes, but it's an experience to have enjoyed. I think running in that kind of chaos, working and actually understanding a process, both digitally and doing the other stuff that was manually, and at the same time maintaining that social norms is something that I really looked and forward, and I was kind of enjoying it. And I was still able to attack the personal relations that you have in front desk, and that's what people still look for, irrespective of that quick check-in or that express checkout. The personal contact that we as an associate or a front office associate offers to a guest.
Thank you, Arzan. Something you said about enjoying the chaos. Hasad mein maza aata hai. That is something that you will definitely shape up to be a fantastic hotelier. You're meant for hotels. Don't do anything else, please. If you enjoyed it, trust me, stay in hotels. The kick that you get in the chaos is actually fantastic. When you handle a difficult client, when you handle a demanding client, you actually feel good. You walk off feeling proud that you have accomplished something. And I'm sure all of you all would feel that way, uh, because hospitality is not an easy job to begin with. And under the
Hands down.
circumstances or the unprecedented times that we are in, it has only kind of added manyfold. And that's the joy of service, I guess.
Zamanjit, if it's okay, I have one question for you.
Yes, please. Wow.
So
I am
it
not
was a bit, I
prepared,
thought.
man. This is out of syllabus.
Well, if it's one thing the Taj has taught me, it's ambiguity.
The wrong way
I
to
don't know how to respond to that.
But no, I mean, my question is actually something where I actually wanted a bit of knowledge, and I don't know if the other panelists would, but my question was, since the pandemic came in place, and there are things, scenarios have changed, wherein in terms of trainings and understandings, and in terms of in the world of education also. How have y'all, in terms of the institute, gone about in terms of developing, a change in terms of training, or what sort of new implementations have y'all gone through?
Well, Johan, thank you for that question. I must say it's fantastic. Reason being because it's something very, very current. It's happening right now. It's impacting people and students who are heading into the industry right now. So one of the first things that we did was that, since we are partnered with Taj and we are a Taj enterprise, what changes they have done in terms of operations, what process changes, what product changes that they have incorporated, how things are working, how things are done at ground level, is something that we have learned from them. Right, so they of course, the Taj has their entire module with regards to how they need to handle, and I'm sure you have been trained in them as well,
Correct.
how they need to be handled, and it has been segmented to the minute detail. Okay, so we talk of chauffeur travel, when we talk of check-ins, when we talk of luggage, not just front office, of course, we have gone into all departments and all sub departments, whether it is laundry, whether it is room service. So we have understood how should the processes be presented, or how service design is being done, or how it is curated currently, is something that we have taken a download from them, and we have incorporated that in the learnings that we are doing ahead. In fact, for the students that have gone into the internship for this year, it was a separate class, right? That was a separate class that was done entirely to ensure that when they reach the hotel, they are not flabbergasted to
Correct.
the extent that, oh, we learned this theory separate, but yahan practical mein something else is happening. We did not want that to happen with our students. So we ensured that the ground level learning that they need to know on the shop floor is something that they walk out with from the institute. So when they reach the hotel, they are already ahead of all the other industrial trainees or the internship trainees that are there. So they already have the knowledge that the Taj is giving out.
Correct.
Right, so that was one very important thing, and that could only happen with the cooperation of the Taj Group, and we are thankful for that, because it helped our students. And we actually cannot put a level or a percentage of how it has helped, but the feedback that we've got from the various hotels also is testament to that.
Correct. Interesting.
Okay. We do have a few questions more, but we won't get into them. I'm sorry. We will get in touch with you over email, hopefully for the people that have shared them, and we will definitely respond and close all the loops and the questions or doubts that you may have. So, having said that, I would like to close the discussion and say that we have come to the end of our discussion, and I thank our panelists for the valuable time and input, our audience for their participation and being with us till the end. We will again next week come back with another enriching Thursday Talk series. Till then, stay safe and stay strong. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good evening.